obligation. If you can do it, I understand and not a problem. But if you can help me, will be great. So my friends, the today recipe, I will call the recipe flan frola because it's a combination of the pie and the cream caramel. So will be flan frola. So let's go to the recipe. What I'm going to do now is prepare a short crust pastry or sweet pastry dough because today's cake used that. What I have here is 400 grains of cell-rising flour. This is not regular flour. 150 grains of sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla essence, 2 eggs, and 150 grams of butter that I softened in the microwave so it's easier to mix with the sugar, vanilla, and eggs. What I'm going to do is in a bowl is to combine the butter with the sugar, and we will beat it until it turns into a creamy texture. This is very important. You can use a metal or plastic or ceramic bowl, whatever you have at home. I will add the sugar and the butter, but I will need to get a spatula to make sure I don't waste any butter left on the plate because I don't want to waste anything. So if you don't mind, I'm going to grab the spatula because I forgot it. This way I can use all the butter left on the plate. We are going to beat this until it turns into a thought of cream, and we will add the eggs one by one, mixing well each time we add one. This could easily be done with a machine, but to be honest, I have never tried it that way. I always do it like this. I know it's a bit tiring for the arms, so if you find it easier to do with a machine, feel free please. As I have said before, I like doing things the old-fashioned way, but not everyone enjoys that method. You can see how the sugar is mixing with the butter, forming a smooth cream. Now we are going to start adding the eggs. We will add one and beat it well so it blends into the mixture before adding the other one. We also going to add the vanilla essence. You could also add some lemon zest if you like, which gives it a really nice scent and flavor. But today I'm just going to add vanilla essence because this isn't really a sweet pastry. Well, we add the second egg and keep beating. This is a mixture, and honestly, I don't know what to call it. I think flan frola is the right name because it is a mix of the two. It's some delicious. Well, I think the dough is ready to handle now. Well, now as you can see, we are working the dough with our hands. I sprinkle a little bit of flour on the counter, and I have some ready on the side because, as I mentioned, this dough sticks a lot. But remember, we are not going to need it. We just need to gently bring it together into a soft ball. Once we done that, we will wrap it in a plastic wrap and let it rest in the fridge. It needs to be in the fridge for 30 minutes. But if you are not in a rush and can leave it for longer, it's much better because that will make things easier for us. Especially when it comes time to assemble the cake. I don't have much time today, so 30 minutes will have to be enough. Look how it turns, it's perfect. What I have here, as I mentioned before, is a spring-form pan. I greased it with butter so that when I cover it with baking paper, it sticks. If I don't use grease paper, the liquid will escape from the bottom. So I need to make sure that doesn't happen. I need to cover the whole thing. I'm not sure if this paper will be enough because it's white, but well, I think it will be. The butter helps a lot because the paper sticks to the pan, which makes the work easier. What I will do next is to cut off the excess paper, but not too much, just in case I need to lower it a bit more. It doesn't have to be perfect, but be careful with the liquid spilling out. I'm telling you, because it happened to me before, and the first time was a disaster. And now, as I said, I'm cutting this paper. Well, now the next step. The dough has rested, although not as long as I would like. I will try to work and, roll it out a little, but it's very soft, so I will put some extra flour. Actually, I have to roll it several times because it is very soft. The flour helps and it stretches better. But if you can roll it with the rolling pin, you can just stretch it directly with your hands inside the pan, because it's what I'm doing now. Because the resting time is very important, and today I couldn't follow it because I had many things to prepare. texture. Additionally, the boiling water slightly cools the melted sugar, helping prevent it from burning and becoming bitter. When I add the water, I take the pan off the heat because I don't want the caramel to burn. I stir it gentle so the water mixes well and then put it back on the heat. In the video, it looks like I add the water quickly, but that's because I sped it up the video. I'm happy with how the caramel is turning out because, as I mentioned before, the caramel is something a bit difficult to make, but this one looks beautiful. I like the color. Now I have the pan ready to add the caramel over the pastry. I have molds for making a pastry with creamed edges, but they are not suitable for this occasion because they are too shallow. We are going to use all the caramel. Oops, I spill a little bit of caramel on the stove and made a mess. I will clean that later. Now I'm going to rotate the pan so the caramel spreads into every little corner of the dough. And as it cools, it will harden. After it's done, you can either put it back in the fridge or leave it on the counter. See how it looks. When we pour the creme or flan over it, the caramel will melt again as it bakes in the oven, and it will turn out delicious. Well, it's done. Well, our next step is to prepare the flan. Here I have 1 liter of milk. I will add a splash of vanilla essence and warm it up. It doesn't need to be hot. To this I will add 240 grains of sugar, stirring constantly so the sugar dissolves. It's very important to keep an eye on the temperature because, as I said before, It doesn't have to be perfect, the best we can, but I assure you it won't turn out bad. It's going to look very nice. My husband was absolutely crazy about this cake. In fact, the next day we were fighting over the last piece, and as you can imagine, he ended up eating it because he said he deserved it since it was his birthday and not mine. So I respect his wish, but I was very happy that he liked it so much. Well, now I'm going to trim a little bit more, and also I will trim the string a bit because it's too long. But as you see, the paper doesn't look that bad, right? It's something different. We need to innovate. Now, I'm going to melt some white chocolate in the microwave. You have to be very careful with the white chocolate because it melts quickly and we don't want it too liquid. Here we have the perfect dulce de leche. I will melt the chocolate a few seconds at a time until it reaches the right consistency. After that, we are going to add the dulce de leche. The amount depends on your preference. I like it with more of dulce gently because now we are finishing this recipe books for you guys. Once it's ready, I will let you guys know.